Hey guys, I'm Drago, and welcome to another episode of Pokemon Infinite Fusion Spriting. Once again, I will be taking random Pokemon combinations straight from the Fusion Deck's website, and I will be making a sprite for them to go in-game. So with nothing much more to say, let's go on with it. I hope you all enjoy. Alright guys, so you know the drill. We're just going to press random fusion and see what we get. And as usual, I will not be spriting any fusion that already has a custom sprite. Let's go. Heracamo-o. Okay, what is it? Heracross and Hakamo-o. I can do that. It's shown a question mark because there's an issue with the sprite, apparently, the auto-generated one, but it's not got a custom sprite, so let's give it a go. This first combination is one that could definitely look really, really cool. And actually, Hakamo-o is one of my favourite Pokemon, so to do one of its evolutions was really fun. And Heracross actually isn't a Pokemon that I have sprited before, so it'll be double as fun because I'll be trying something new as well. Now, this Hakamo-o base is by Onyx98, so all credit to them for the base I'm using. If you don't know, then spriters in Pokemon Infinite Fusion will create custom bases for each Pokemon, and they are completely free for you to use for your fusions as long as you credit them. Also, if you are interested in spriting for the game yourself, then go join the Discord server. It's easy to become a spriter, and it is so much fun, honestly. I love spriting for this game. But anyways, back to this fusion. I had a look at the pre-evolution and the actual evolution for this, and I took a lot of inspiration from those. But even though it could be quite a badass design, it was actually very simple to do. It was mainly adding the horn Heracross has, and I also adapted the little prongs that Hakamo-o has coming out of his face at the side into the antenna. But other than that, it was mostly a recolor with some edits to the body. So for the body, I basically added some of the lines that Heracross has on its body, especially around the torso area. I also added some of the spikes on the limbs, and I edited the tail as well to have both the antenna and the sort of V-shaped horn that Heracross has as well. But the main part of this fusion was going to be coming from colouring. So making the main body blue, having the big yellow eye, and I made Hakamo-o's claws the white of Heracross's claws. There wasn't enough palette here to be able to make Hakamo-o's scales a different colour, so I decided to get creative with how I was using different tones of blue. I just tried to have it that the scales in general were a lighter tone to try and differentiate them from the main body of Hakamo-o. Because the way spriting works here is that there are two different sprites for each fusion. So say like here I'm fusing Heracross and Hakamo-o. If it's in that order, Heracross and Hakamo-o, then Heracross is the head Pokemon and Hakamo-o is the body Pokemon. And the head Pokemon, basically it becomes the head of the fusion. And that also determines the colour palette. You use the colour palette of whatever the first Pokemon is, the head Pokemon. So this fusion will actually also have Hakamo-o plus Heracross, which will have it the other way around, where Hakamo-o's head and colour palettes will go onto Heracross's body. So basically here I have a Pokemon that has quite a few colours to it, and a Pokemon that doesn't have a lot of colours to it. So sometimes it could be a little difficult trying to put a limited colour palette onto a very colourful Pokemon, but it is always also a fun challenge. And I think this one turned out really cool. Alright, let's see what we've got next. Glaceon. Oh, it's Glaceon and Sharpedo. That might be a difficult one. But honestly, that auto-gen sprite is actually quite nice. Just looking at the auto-gen sprite, it's already given me some ideas, so I think I can do this one. Now, before I jumped into spriting this fusion, I had a look at the custom bases for Sharpedo and couldn't find any that would sort of fit what I wanted to do for this. So I quickly made myself my own Sharpedo custom base. So this base is by me, and I made it based off a Pokemon Snap screenshot. I basically just wanted a calmer Sharpedo base. Now, this is quite a difficult fusion to do. When you're putting a head onto a Pokemon that is like almost all body, it's really difficult to do. So what I did here was I basically slightly changed the head shape of Sharpedo to give it a little bit of a muzzle, like Glaceon. I also added Glaceon's little cat nose, and I think the other big important thing was adding the bands that Glaceon has. Basically, I gave Sharpedo hair. he has a wig now. And with the colour palette of Glaceon, I think that was enough to tell that this is Glaceon plus Sharpedo. For being quite a hard fusion to figure out, I do think I mixed the two Pokemon quite well. A nice mixture of both. I kept the Sharpedo body shape, the Sharpedo mouth, the Sharpedo eyes, the Sharpedo fins. But I also added the Glaceon muzzle, the Glaceon nose, the Glaceon hair, and the Glaceon colour. And it all just worked really well together. I was very surprised on how well this one actually worked. Also, here's a quick tip for pixel art. If you want to do a big swooping line, then sometimes if you try to do that pixel by pixel, to just go in dot 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 to do pixel by pixel, that doesn't always work. I find that it's not only tedious, but I also find it gives me sort of very inorganic shapes too straight. So what I like to do is basically draw it as if it was any normal line, as if I was making any normal drawing on any larger resolution. Just draw it like a normal line, and then from there I will go in and I will clean it up. So basically the normal line acts as my guide, and then I can go in and I can clean it up to remove any jagged areas, to make it much smoother, to make the pixels work together much nicer. So if you ever want a large swooping line in pixel art, just draw it normally and then clean it up afterwards. And let's see what our last fusion in this video is going to be. The Lombre, so Diancie and Lombre. Again, it's another one where the sprite's broken. That happens with the new Pokemon at the moment. But a legendary with Lombre. This is going to be an interesting one. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but we'll figure it out. Now, I thought Glaceon and Sharpedo was hard, but then this one came up. It took me a while to think of how to put these two Pokemon together, but in the end I had the idea of having the big gem of Diancie sit within the lily pad of Lombre, and also this Lombre custom base was created by Sticky Animate. But yeah, it took me so long to get the gem to actually fit in the lily pad and get into a perspective that worked. Honestly, this fusion sucked to do, it was so difficult. But in the end, once I'd gotten the big crystal in, it became a bit more simple. I basically put a dress on Lombre. So when it came to the colouring, trying to actually shade that big gem was so difficult. I think I got it to look okay. I tried to mimic the gem shading on Diancie, but Diancie's gem is much smaller than this one that I've made here, so it was very different to do. But I think I got there in the end. And I also decided to make the lily pad the gold colour. That way it almost looks like more like jewellery. And I don't know, I think it just fit the vibe of the theme much better than having it a sort of normal colour, like a plant colour or something. I think having it the gold works really well. But there's not much more to say on this fusion other than it absolutely sucked and I never want to do a Lombre fusion again. So there is 3 more Pokemon Fusion sprites. Let me know down below which one is your favourite. I personally really like Heracross and Hakamo-o, but I may be biased because Hakamo-o is one of my favourite Pokemon. If you want more of this series, then let me know in the comments down below what Pokemon you'd like to see fused. And if you enjoyed, maybe leave a like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. A huge thank you to my first ever Patreon, Final Shockdown. Thank you so much for subscribing to my Patreon. If you are interested in supporting me further in the future, then check out my Patreon, which will be linked in the description below. And well, thank you for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Bye!